Hey guys, a warm welcome back to the channel. Lots happening in today's video. With a project like this, there are many elements that need to come together at the end to create that final product. We got the big stuff like the engine, the cleanup operation, but then there's a lot of little jobs that all combine to create that final wow factor. So we're going to be doing a few of those today, along with some engine work and a few other bits. We've got Dougal from Longstone Tyres making a guest appearance, but first of all, we've got some exciting updates. So grab one of these, we're going to have a coffee walk around the car and I'll tell you about a few of them. Okay, let's start our coffee walk at the back of the car. So in the last video, we removed the tanks. They're going to get worked on today. We're going to clean all those up, get all the rubbish out of the bottom and make them look good. But the main thing at the back here is that the frame, as I said in the last video, surface rust. So it's going to make much more sense to have all of this sorted out, treated and repainted. The cool news is, this is going off to my friend's body shop. We're going to be doing all of that, making this rear end look very pretty. And the update really is that what I've decided is, while it's there, the rest of this is also going to get repainted. And here is my reason. I know there's a whole argument of original paint, but if you look at this, every single panel needs work. So we have little bits here, bits at the seal down here, little bits of rust down here, front hood, bits over there, little bits here, headlight obviously, and then we've got the big silly aerial in the roof that was fitted, which is going to leave a hole, so that's all going to get rectified. But that means that this needs paint. Same with the engine lid, little bits down here, bits all over it, little bits here, bit of bubbling here. So every single panel, if you look at it, needs a little bit of work. So if you add it all up, it makes sense to respray the whole thing and make this look pristine. So that's the idea. Let me know what you think. Am I mad doing that? Should I keep it like this? But that's the plan. 4 corners, they're all getting changed or updated, rebuilt. Suspension, got a cool update coming on that. Brakes, they're going off to be done. The rest of it, we're going to get powder coated and making that look cool. Interior, well, the interior looked or came out remarkably well. There's not much to do on here. We've got a plate around the AC controls. The major one is the lever on the dash at the front, so while this is in the body shop, we'll get all that done. The clocks, the other biggie, they're going to have to come out, and we're going to see if we can get rid of this cloudiness. And then the final thing on the interior is the stereo system. Very interesting story on that. Come to that in a future video, but we have plans with the stereo system too. The other cool bit of news is engine. Okay, so as you can see, the engine was on its side. I'll go into how it got like that and why it's like that a little later on, but we are trying various things at the moment. Some of your suggestions: Marvel Mystery Oil, we got some PB Blaster, we got some of this stuff and various other things that throughout this week I have been trying to recover cylinder 12. I will tell you at the moment, no change. So I'm gradually turning over. We're doing a leak down test, but we still got about 95% leakage on this. But it's a few days in, and let this stuff see if it can work some magic. But the chances are heads are going to come off. I'm still looking or trying to figure out how we're going to do that and do this properly. But the reason I'm trying to keep the car complete at the moment is because the cool update on this is, again, when I said to you before, I really want all of this block cleaned up and looking pristine. And the suggestions you guys are saying a lot of the time is ice blasting. So I did some research. Not really too many companies here in the UK that do ice blasting, but one of them, a big company that makes all the jet washers that I used actually to clean this up, is Karcher. Now Karcher's professional side make an ice blasting machine. I've reached out to those guys. They're going to get involved. We're going to ice blast all of this and some of that, so this should look pristine. That's the updates, guys. Let's crack on with some work. The first job today is those pesky fuel tank filters. Now I'm calling this fuel tank fishing because the best way I've discovered so far is to shake the tank, get my little finger in there until I can get the filter to line up with the hole, and the rest, well, this is what happens. We are at the kitchen sink. As you can see, there is my filter. There is my fuel tank. I've got it balanced on there and I'm just getting the thing out. Okay guys, this is one. Let's see what this looks like. And here we go guys, number 2 is about to come out now. I'm going to just do that very, very carefully. Okay, that is it. With the filters finally out of the car, it's time to clean the tanks. And we're just starting off with some simple water and a bit of apple cider vinegar in there. Give them a shake around and see what happens. Pretty good so far. And to get the final little bits out, I'm using my steam cleaner. We're going to blast the inside with some steam and that should do the trick. Today we're filling the petrol tank on the Boxer, but not with fuel. Now that the tank is all clean on the inside, it's been jet washed, it's clean on the outside, I'm going to give it a coat of paint. Here's one I just started. Let's hit this one. Alright, we're making use of the weather today. I've got the tanks drying in the sun. We've given them one coat of high temperature paint. They've come out lovely. Next we're on to the dry sump, the oil tank here. Just started to scrape off the old paint. We're going to just vacuum that up. Then we're going to hit it with the jet wash. And then whatever's left over, we'll get off with some chemicals. And then doing the same thing. It's got this kind of crinkled finish on it. A lot of the paint was off this one already, so we're just going to get the rest off and then redo it. 46mm spanner is coming in very handy. We've got a filter on this as well, and as you can see, that is much more cleaner than the fuel tanks were, which is great news. So we will give it a clean up in there. Let's just put that in a bag just to keep it getting bad and contaminated. So we're going to give a clean up in here. I'm going to strip it all down. We're going to put some paint stripper on next, get it all back, and then we're going to repaint this. And there you go, a finished oil tank, a finished fuel tanks. They're all going to just sit here basking in the sun for the rest of the afternoon, and they'll just go into storage, ready to go back into the car later on. Now, as I've previously mentioned, unfortunately, despite being almost full tread, these tyres are really perished. They're cracked and split badly, so they've got to be replaced. The good news is my guys at Longstone have sourced the correct Michelin TRX period correct tyres. They're going to go on today, but before we do that, it makes sense to refurbish these alloys. As you can see, they're chipped up here, they're bubbled there, so they're all going to get done. Now, the problem being is the chrome piece here in the middle, this trim, needs to come off. Now, I've been warned, it's an absolute pig to get off, and the chances are you're going to break it. Well, they were right. Here's one of the front wheels, and as you can see, we've got the chrome piece missing, and I need to take it off because I'll need to take the spline out here so we can get it all sprayed properly. Well, that's the trim piece, and as you can see, it's damaged. What happens is it tends to just weld itself onto the spline there. Now, despite trying heat and various things and soaking it, just doesn't come off. So I'm going to be removing the splines. In a previous video, I also mentioned about the costings around the car, some of the prices for various parts that we need. Tyres, I said, were about £500 a corner, and you guys weren't too sure about that. Well, these were the absolute pinnacle of tyre technology back in the day. They're also a very strange tyre size, but I am not the expert. Dougal from Longstone Tyres has dealt with these things for years and years and years, and he is going to give us an education on why these are just so good, and also some of the other amazing tyres that Ferrari has used over the years. Here's Dougal.
Hi Ratarossa fans, you're Longstone Tyres now. We're old car fans through and through. This is the old car I drove into work in this morning, and this is my racing car over here, a Fraser Nash. But that's not what we're here to talk about. What we're here to talk about is classic Ferrari tyres. Okay. Now, the world of classic Ferrari tyres are extremely well catered for currently. We've got pretty much all the most important ones you might need, except for the rear tyre of about 2 years of Ferrari Testarossa. Other than that, we've got a lot covered. So start off with your classic cross-blind tyre, the Pirelli Stella Bianca, for your 1950s sports cars. Things like 250 Europa would have fitted that. And then in 1964, Pirelli developed the ability to make a 205 section tyre. It was enormous in those days. It was a major drama to have such an excitingly fat tyre. And this is here, this is the Pirelli Cinturato 205 VR15 CN72. This came out in 1964, and to have a tyre that fat in 1964 was super cool. And that's fitted to a Ferrari wire wheel, as Ferrari did in the 50s and 60s. And then 1968, low profile tyres were developed. So cars like the Ferrari Dino fitted this tyre here. So that's still a 205 section tyre, but 70% of the width of the tyre is the height of the sidewall, whereas that was 80%. So we're getting low profile there. So that was taken on by the Dino in 1968, and the Daytona started using them again in 1968. It's a big leap forward in the middle of the 70s, 74, 75, with tyres like this Pirelli P7 here that the Porsche 930 started fitting, and the Porsche Carrera, and that moved on to the rest of the 911s. And at the same time, Ferrari went with Michelin's angle of the low profile, the super low profile tyre with the TRX. Now, the difference of these is this is what we call, this is a 55 profile tyre. So instead of the 80 profile tyre of the late 50s and 60s, we moved on, and then the 70 profile tyre of 1968. And then in the mid-70s, we moved on to lower profile tyres than that. So this is a 55 section tyre. So for the 512 BBI, like we're talking about today, that had a 240 55 415. So it's 240 millimetres wide, so that's dramatically wider than that 205 of 1964. But it's 55% profile, so the sidewall height is 55% of 240 millimetres. And that fitted onto a 415mm rim. Why 415mm, you might ask yourself? Because all the rest of the cars in the world are using imperial rim sizes, but Ferrari's TRX tyres, the high-tech TRX technology of the day, needed a different rim profile, which I've drawn some graphs to show you here. So, on a standard rim, you can see the flange of it here is quite tall and a sharp angle. So it forced it to have a complicated flex in the sidewall. The standard tyres had like an S-shaped flex in there, which all that extra movement created more friction and heat build-up, but it also didn't disperse the tensions of the tyre as well as the TRX tyre. So just immediately looking at the rim profile on here, we can see that this rim is shallower. It's not such a deep flange on the side of it, utilising more of the sidewall to absorb the vibration of the road. And the way that the bead wire, it's the bead wire here, is held into the carcass is done in a different manner with the TRX as well. And the way this whole structure works is it allows a more simplified flex in the sidewall, like an S flex, sorry, a C flex instead of the S flex of a normal tyre, thereby dispersing the tensions of the tyre more evenly and creating less heat build-up. So that worked really well, and they were able to lower the sidewall height of the tyre and make it really suited to, you know, really high performance supercars of the day, and give you that extra bit of grip, put more rubber in contact with the road, but still in a way that handled well. So although the 512 BBI did have the same size tyres front and rear, Ferrari liked to stretch a rear tyre onto the rims to give you that predictability and progressive handling. So the rim widths of the 512 BBI are different. The front rim is is 180mm wide, and the rear rim is 210mm wide. So the same tyre has the characteristics of what it's going to do for the handling of the car changed by putting a wider rim on the back. And the car was designed with the carcass structure of a tyre like this in mind, so they complement each other. And Ferrari is made out of a selection of top quality components that are all balanced and work together and make that fantastic piece of kit that Ferrari is. And it's Michelin, so the compounds are exceptional. Now, the carcass gives you the handling you want, but we've got more grip, and we've got particularly more grip in the wet because these are modern compounds. They're greener, they're better for the environment, but they also work better in the wet. So it is a high quality product. It will make your car handle the way it should do, and we're pleased that Michelin currently is supporting us with such a brilliant range of classic car tyres. So there you go, 512 BBI tyres, Michelin TRX. If you want any more information, you Ratarossa fans, contact Longstone Tyres, and we'll see if we can help you out. Thank you very much.
Well guys, there you go. I love Dougal. He's such a character, and what he doesn't know about tyres is just not worth knowing. Anyway, if you got any tyre needs, especially these real tricky ones, period correct tyres, Longstone are the place to go. I'll put their details in the description below the video, and I've got to say a massive thanks to Dougal and Longstone Tyres for helping me out with these TRX period correct special tyres on the Boxer. Now, as you can see, the wheels are all back from powder coating. We have got some new centers here. Fortunately, I managed to get these. My normal supplier had these on back order, and I had a bit of a heart attack moment knowing that I'd wrecked the last four. Anyway, got some. Got one final job to do on these. That is just to clean up all the splines, rebuild them. They can go on the car, and then the car is ready to roll to the paint shop. Well, show you what's going on here, shall we? It's a horrendous noise, these things, but we've just got some of the bolts in there, the wheel bolts being cleaned. Leave that on for about 25 minutes and see if it gets off all the grime. Let's see how it does with this, shall we? That's the hub. It's actually in two parts. We'll see how it copes. Marigolds. Here we go. Put it in the deep fat fryer. See how it copes. Lid on. 30 minutes. As you can see, the ultrasonic cleaner did a great job. That's all of the bolts there, the nuts and bolts, and that's the splines as well. Again, they look great, so I just need to rebuild those. I'm keeping them where they came off so I don't get them all mixed up. So we just need to put those back on the wheels now, and that's job done. Okay guys, here is the plan. We're going to try and get the engine up on its side so I can leave some penetrating fluid down in the cylinder, and it will get to the whole of the piston and all the valves as it sits flat up here. Going to do a little bit more investigation on the engine now while we got the cover off. What I want to do is check the valve clearances and just see if it gives me any indication that we've got a valve slightly stuck open here on cylinder 12. So I'm going to get the feeler gauges out, we'll get the workshop manual, we'll look at the specs, and we'll see how these compare. Okay, so intake exhaust ports, intake ports, air intake. This should be between 0.2 and 0.25 millimeters. I have gone maximum on this 0.25. And what's our reading? Maybe a little bit. Let's compare that to a couple of the others. Alright, this is what we have so far guys. Intake, we've measured this, we are on 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, between 0.2 and 0.23 millimeters. Our spec is between 0.2, 0.25, so all within tolerance. However, if we come to 12, which is our problematic cylinder, shall we say, let's go with a 0.28. That's above spec. In fact, no, let's go with we've got a 0.25, okay, 0.25 loose. Let's go higher. What should we do here? We've got a 3. Let's go with just over a 3 mil. And again, that's about a 3 mil, so way out of tolerance. 3 millimeters, 0.3, sorry, 0.3. Not good. And this is the results I'm getting from my exhaust cam. So our tolerance is between 0.3 and 0.35 on this one. My readings, as you can see, the highest is 0.33, and I'm getting 3 of those cylinders at 0.29, so it's really close. Definitely not out by the margin I've got on the intake for number 12 here, which is 0.05 millimeters out, which is quite a margin. And that does actually ring true with the leak down test. So when I'm doing the leak down test, what I can hear on cylinder 12 is air in the intake over here. So it would seem that the valve here is stuck open a little bit. Anyway, let's see what the fluid does over the next week or so while I arrange the ice blasting. Hopefully it will fix it, but I do think the heads are probably going to need to come off this anyway, and maybe even further still in this engine. So let's see how it goes. Well guys, there you go. The Boxer project is definitely starting to take shape. We are hitting it from all different angles at the moment. Engine is still the big unknown. We're going to hopefully get a chance to get on the inside of that once I've ice blasted the exterior and made that pristine, we'll then make the interior just as nice. But this is definitely starting to really come together. The final vision in my head for this car, if I can achieve it, this is going to be one heck of a nice Ferrari Boxer. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget, check out what I get up to on a daily basis over on my Instagram or my Facebook. Until the next time, stay safe. Ciao for now.